This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather. Ho, there's Jeff Cutastrophe welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, June the 26th, 1999, in the year 1999, one of what Sports Illustrated called deepest NHL draft classes would happen. But of course, that was before the draft. When you look at how terrible the first round of this draft is, you'll understand why it's not in a good conversation. So anyway, going into the 1999 draft, the Tampa Bay Lightning held the number one overall pick because they were the worst team in the NHL that previous year. The expansion Atlanta Thrashers would get the 2 pick, and the 3 pick would go to the Vancouver Canucks, who also were struggling, even though they had Mark Messier. Regardless of that, Vancouver was the most determined of the 3 people. A lot of people don't realize who would be the number 1 pick, but Vancouver GM Brian Burke saw 2 brothers from Sweden, identical brothers at that, and decided, I want both of them. So Brian Burke was the only one to really have feelings towards the Sedin twins. Yes, this is the draft of the Sedin twins, Daniel and Henrik Sedin, as you can see on the infographic. But the fact of the matter was that he only had 1 pick, so he needed to do something rash. So he decided to trade his number 3 pick. Well, he had his number 3 pick, so he traded Brian McCabe and Vancouver's first round pick in the next year's draft to Chicago for the 4th overall pick. So that meant that he had the 3rd and 4th pick. But figuring that Tampa or Atlanta might take a Sedin, he decided to trade that number 4 pick to Tampa for the number 1 pick. So he had the 1 and 3 pick. The number 4 pick was actually flipped to the Rangers, while 2 third-round selections would hit to Tampa. And then Vancouver and Atlanta made a deal. Atlanta would get the number 1 pick. Vancouver would get the number 2 pick. I mean, they would switch picks with the understanding that Atlanta would not draft Sedin. So, anyway, it was just amazing. Well, Atlanta decided to draft Patrick Stefan from the Long Beach Ice Dogs. So Stefan was going to head to Atlanta and probably be the face of the Thrashers, who were an expansion team that year. But Atlanta didn't do so well that year. They had a few decent things, but Patrick Stefan didn't live up to the hype of being a number 1 pick. And of course, in hockey circles, you think of Patrick Stefan, one image comes to mind. Not just a draft bust, but also 2007 when he was playing for Dallas and had a chance at an empty net goal to ice a game in Edmonton. But the puck rolled on him and he couldn't put it in. And then when he tried to slide it in, he inadvertently passed it to Edmonton, who had a few passes, and Hemsky scored to tie the game. Dallas did win the game in the shootout, but still, Patrick Stefan's career was basically done for. With the number 2 and 3 picks, Vancouver knew what to do. They drafted Daniel and then Henrik Sedin. So they drafted the twins, both on their own merit. Swedish twins, am I right? Anyway, Pavel Brando went 4th overall to the Rangers. Chicago had the pick and then traded Vancouver, who traded to Tampa, who traded the Rangers. Rangers went with Pavel Brando from Calgary of the WHL. Unfortunately, we all know how that ended up. That ended up hurting the Rangers quite well. The Islanders would take Tim Connolly 5th overall from Erie, although he would later go to Buffalo and be better there. Nashville took goalie Brian Finley from Barrie because they really wanted a goalie to complement Mike Dunham. But Mike Dunham is Mike Dunham. Washington took Chris Beach 7th overall from Calgary, but he didn't do anything. The Islanders had a pick from the Kings and went number 8 and took Taylor Pyatt from Sudbury, another underwhelming player. The Rangers went 9th and picked up from Calgary and took from Moose Jaw center Jamie Lindmark. The Rangers had 2 top 10 picks, and both of them did not work out for their teams. Wow. And then the number 10 pick, the others took from Montreal. So the others had 3 first-round picks in the later event. They got from Belleville, Bratislav Messi. So the Islanders had basically crapped the bed with their 3 first-round picks. You look down the rest of round 1. The next person that made an impact in the NHL would be number 17, Barrett Jackman, who the Blues drafted from Regina. Nick Boynton was picked 21st overall by Boston, defenseman from Ottawa. The Senators took Martin Havlat from Trinac, which was good. The Leafs ended up taking Lucas Serreta, who was a bust. All that. So the first round just didn't work out so well. When you look at the second round, the best guy from the second round was Alex Old, who Florida picked up 40th overall from North Bay as a goalie. Mike Commodore went 42nd to the Devils. Jordan Leopold went 44th to Anaheim. Sheldon Keefe, that Sheldon Keefe, who's now the Devils head coach, he went 47th overall to Tampa from Barrie. And of course, Leaf fans, are we sorry to see him go? I don't know. So yeah, there were some awkward picks. Another NHL All-Star in the draft went 5th round, 138th overall from the Michigan State Spartans goalie Ryan Miller. Went to the Sabres. And that worked out great. Sabres, he would be the best goalie the Sabres had since Norman Kasich. Weirdly enough, in round 7, the Red Wings with the 210th pick took Henrik Zetterberg from Timrå. So that worked out great for Detroit, picking him in the 7th round. Colorado would take Brandon Verbata 7th round from the Hall Olympics. But of course, he would be better off in Columbus, I think. And the draft was 9 rounds, 272 picks. The last pick was Miguel Donica from Torpedo, Russia, by the Stars. So anyway, the overall impact in the NHL player selected that has not matched that neighborhood draft. Of the 28 first-round picks, only 16 played 82 games, which is an equivalent to 1 regular season. In 98, it was 23 out of 27, and in 2000, it was 21 out of 30. So the numbers were not there. In fact, Barrett Jackman and Martin Havlat were the only active first-round picks other than the Sedins in 2014, 15 years after the draft. The last active player in the NHL of the 99 draft class was Craig Anderson, who retired in 2023. So anyway, Daniel and Henrik Sedin, what a move by Vancouver, because they liked the Sedins, and it worked out perfectly. The Sedins basically just made Vancouver more likable and more powerful. So, Ryan Burke is a freaking genius. Well, the Thrashers could have taken a Sedin, but they chose not to, which was sporting of them. But little did they know how much Patrick Stefan would hurt their stock as a franchise. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.